Okay, so I am back on live, and I'm gonna see if Nancy's back on live. I don't know if anyone was watching before, but we were talking with mental health expert Nancy Lublin. My biggest fear, I think, was realized that the live I had just done, because my phone glitched. I don't think it's saved, which was the one job I had, was so that everybody could go back and watch the things we talked about. So I'm gonna let Nancy come back on, and if anybody's new to what's happening right now, we were talking with mental health expert who is the founder of Crisis Text Line, Nancy Lublin, and we were talking about all things quarantine. So sorry that didn't save. Oh God! But I'm waiting for Nancy to come back now because I have a couple more questions for her. Hi.
I'm back, but we get like a do-over.
We do, but it's also terrible because I think our initial live didn't save, which was the one job that I had. The one thing that the Netflix social team told me was like, save the live.
Oh no, that means we don't have Angel in
But
here
now we
at
have,
all.
but now we have a ton of new people. So everybody
that's
that's
good.
new, I want to again say, if you have been here since the beginning, I'll say it for the 13th millionth time. This is Nancy Lublin with Crisis Text Line. She's a mental health expert, and we're talking about finding personal space, staying sane, and just being your best self. I do have one more question I want to ask you, and I don't know if anyone else was even here watching, but I'd love for some people to start asking their own questions that we can address and answer with you. But I wanted to know, really important thing. Oh, hi. Is how do you think it's best to ask your friends, your family, people that you know, coworkers in your life? How is it best to ask if someone is okay? Like, what's the best way to approach asking somebody like how they're mentally holding up and meaning it for real, not just hoping for the "oh, I'm good" answer?
That's a great question. So if you say, how are you feeling? Are you okay? People usually just say like, I'm fine, I'm okay. Like people don't really answer that question for real. But if you say, how are you feeling on a scale of 1 to 5? It really prompts people to think. So we could even do this in the comments. How are you all feeling on a scale of 1 to 5?
Yeah, how's it going?
And it's a great way to prompt people to tell you maybe that there are 2 or that there are 5. But it gets a specific answer from people at Crisis Text Line. If you go to crisistextline.org, you can learn more about it. But we've learned ways that are effective for asking people questions and words that work better than others to help people feel strong. Oh, someone said there are 6. Well, that's exciting.
Someone said there are 3.
Yeah.
That is, I feel like a 3 is a lot, is kind of how a lot of people are feeling right now. Like,
how are you feeling right now, Joey?
Me, right now, this is like the most exciting thing that's happened to me all month. I'm like a 5. But you know, it's been different every day. Every day is like the other day. I just needed to take a drive and just like, chill by myself, and that's fine too. That's another thing. Like our main topic we wanted to talk about here for anyone that's listening was like how to find personal space. And Nancy had the best tip ever, which is the bathroom, which is like so amazing. Just say like, oh, I've got a stomach cramp, gotta go to the bathroom. Wink, wink. Take your phone, watch some TikToks or whatever. I don't know. It's awesome. For me, another thing that you can do that's easy is get in your car if you're able to drive and you're in a city that allows it, and take a drive and just gather your thoughts or listen to a podcast in your room. Yep. But it is hard sometimes because I feel like for me, I'm really lucky that I have an understanding family and people that I'm quarantined with are, if I say I need my space, people are happy to give me my space. And I think what's hard is sometimes people are, like we were talking about earlier, either in, just a situation that's more overwhelming or in, an abusive situation, which is, of course, the worst case scenario.
Yep. I think headphones are a way of creating space also. You put your headphones on, even if you don't put any music on or a podcast on, you put on headphones, you're kind of signaling to the people around you, I don't want to talk to you right now. I'm listening to something else and give me some space.
Yeah, for sure. If anyone else has any questions too, just start typing away. We would love to talk some more about stuff like that. But another thing that you were saying to me yesterday when we talked on the phone was how life, was happening before the virus and stuff that was hard before, it just becomes way harder now. And it is, if you're struggling with anything, or even if you're just, struggling with staying inside, everything's going to be a lot more heightened, and to like take care of yourself whatever way you think you need to.
I think that's right. I think if you had an eating disorder before, if you were in a stressful relationship before, if you're worried about money before and paying for bills, it just became a lot harder.
Mm-hmm.
And not everything right now is about the virus itself. You matter. And the things that you were facing before, you might still be facing now.
Mm-hmm.
And but it's maybe hard to do this. There's a couple of people saying thanks for doing this. That's so great.
Yay. How are you and your family holding up?
I know. How are we holding up? Come here. Good. We're still in our pajamas at this time.
Hi, guys.
This is the 12-year-old who showered and put his pajamas back on.
Because he smells really bad now.
Well, and there you go. And that would be
Nancy. We have a good question that somebody said. Live Positively said, "I know someone who thinks they're better off dealing with their struggles on their own. How can I help them?"
You know what? That's such an interesting. First of all, what a caring friend. That's a really amazing thing to say, that they basically feel like they're worried for someone. So a couple things on that front. First of all, if you're really worried about someone, one of the things that we've learned in our data is that it's never harmful or suggestive to ask someone. And you can always ask someone, are you okay? I care about you. You start with an expression of care. I care about you. You're really funny. You're an amazing person. You're one of my favorite people. And so I need to ask, are you thinking dark thoughts? What are you thinking about? And you can also
That's a great way to ask that too.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah, start with an expression of care and then really flat out ask them. So instead of saying, I'm here for you if you need me, which puts the responsibility on them, instead say, I care about you, so I need to ask you. You have the hard responsibility. You're the one asking. I care about you. I need to ask you, are you thinking dark thoughts? And the other thing you can do is you can also give them our number. So that's what Crisis Text Line is here for. If there are people who really want to do this alone, you can do it alone, and you can just text us on your phone. In the United States, it's 741-741. You can text the word share to 741-741. It's totally anonymous and confidential. No judgments.
So great. That is so great. And I love the way that you phrase that and how to ask your friends if they're okay and just say dark thoughts really puts the responsibility not on them so they don't feel pressure. Right. My sister, Hunter, had a great question, too, that she wrote. She said, what are some tips to help deal with panic attacks? Great question, right? We've had some anxiety here before. Great question. My favorite, well, first of all, you can text us so that you never feel alone, right? So you don't have to go through a moment like that alone. My favorite thing to help people in panic moments is what's called a grounding exercise. You think of, you start with 5 things you can see, just look around and name 5 things you can see, and then close your eyes and try and listen really closely for 4 things you can hear, and then keep your eyes closed, 3 things you can smell, 2 things you can touch, 1 thing you can taste, and it takes you a little while to go through those. It's a free exercise. You don't have to, it doesn't cost any money. You don't need anybody else to do it with you. It's called a grounding exercise, and it really just helps you feel calm, take awareness of your surroundings. It's pretty effective. I'm writing this down. I love that. I think that's awesome. That's super, super great. Yeah. Someone else said, how can you tell if a loved one is not completely there, or how can you see if they aren't feeling 100%? It's a great question. If you are concerned about a loved one, a friend, anyone, again, what we've seen in our data is that it's not harmful or suggestive to ask. So if you say to someone, I care about you, are you thinking dark thoughts? You're not going to put dark thoughts in their head. That's not how that works. Right. So it really is okay to always ask. And if it's easier for you to ask by text or to ask, in a DM or something, that's okay too. I also think that, not being disrespectful in a way, but if someone says they're still okay and you still feel like something's off, checking in the next day. It's, yes. Without being too pushy, but, just trying to get to the root of the problem if you really care about somebody. No, that's right. And there's really no such thing as being too pushy. What you're just saying, Joey, is I care about you so much that I'm checking in again because I really like you and I don't want anything to happen to you. I'm really worried about you. So yeah, I'm going to do this again. That's okay. No one, there's no such thing as loving on anybody too much, I think, in that circumstance. Yeah. Grace Stowe said, what are good ways to, excuse me, oh God, I'm joking, to deal with body positivity during quarantine and supporting friends that are going through those issues. And we were kind of talking about that before. And I was also saying, like, for me anyway, like something that I've been dealing with, because honestly, like throughout my entire life, and especially in the past 2 years when my exposure has heightened a lot, my, you know, I've struggled with some body dysmorphia, and like staying positive about my own body is something that's really, really hard sometimes. But during this time, especially now more than ever, I know that I'm definitely not the only one. Like, I knew I wasn't the only one, but now I know for sure I'm not the only one kind of going through this, thinking about these things, dealing with this. And so I was saying before when we were live a little bit earlier is that, like, you know, if I feel like I need to eat a freaking Fluffernutter with peanut butter and marshmallow fluff at 11:30 p.m., then that's what I need to do.
Yeah, totally. Tell me, Joey, what makes you feel strong? Like exercise, music, writing? Is it that adorable little Yorkie, teacup Yorkie? What is it that makes you feel strong?
For me, I love to exercise. I think it makes me feel so good, but some days I just can't get myself there. And so some days it makes me feel super strong. Some days it makes me feel super insecure and weak. But something that consistently makes me feel strong is I really like cooking. I'm not amazing at it, but I do love cooking. And
That's great.
Yeah, you know,
That's
just
great.
like little hobbies and stuff.
That's great.
Like that.
And you don't have to, and that's the thing is, you don't have to be good at it. You don't have to be like Rachel Ray. You don't have to be like the greatest chef ever. I don't mean she's the greatest chef ever. But you know what I mean? You don't have to be like a professional chef. But if it gives you joy, if it helps you feel strong to like whip something up, what's important is that you know what that is and that that's always there for you. You know that you can cook anytime. And so how great that that's a good form of distraction, something that's yours. That's also cooking is so great because you can do it with other people. Mm-hmm. You can do it for other people. You could make, you know, Hunter a fantastic meal.
Just like little fun things like that. And even just like you were saying earlier, playing with my dogs. That makes me super happy too. One person said, what do I do if I know someone in my family is depressed, but I can't help them?
That's a great question. First of all, I love that you're asking that question because it shows that you're a really loving family member and that you care about them. And that's wonderful. I will say that depression isn't about how much you can't love them so much that you love away the depression. If I want to start with that, it's not your responsibility. It's amazing that you care about this, but know that depression can be an illness, can be something that's a chemical imbalance. So one thing to say is to say to the person, I care about you. I'm worried about you, to those things. You may want to suggest that they text us at Crisis Text Line. You can learn more at crisistextline.org. You may want to ask them if they think it might be time to see a doctor to make sure they're okay.
I think some people are really, really scared of the idea that they may need medication, you know? And I think that that's one thing, like, that's why I love that people like you exist and that we're doing this kind of live, because the more people talk about mental health, the more it becomes less taboo and it becomes just like a normal thing.
One of the things I appreciate about some of the Netflix programming, right? Like 13 Reasons Why was and is like broke barriers, but it definitely inspired people to talk about some of these things. That was content that like people had not seen before. And it was pretty amazing for Netflix to put it out there. And I think to talk about these things is step one. You know, 68% of people who text us at Crisis Text Line share something with us they've never shared with another human being. So we are like the first step. And we encourage them. We say, if this felt good, if it felt good to share this with us, maybe this was step one. And step two is finding someone in your life or talking to a doctor or seeing your school counselor to talk about being a long-term champion.
Right. And I feel like for me, I'm very lucky that I'm not a person that struggles very clinical depression. But there's definitely been moments in my life and moments within this last month where I've been really, really down. And one thing that I found helpful for me is to let the people in my life that do care about me know that it's not you. I'm feeling down. I may be distant, but I just want to let you know, like, I still care about you. And just the act of letting somebody else that I care about and that cares about me know that I'm not like upset with them and that I appreciate them did make me feel a little bit better, just because I knew
That's
that I was
great.
being heard by somebody else.
Yeah, just like nobody else can give you depression, nobody else can take away your depression, right?
Yeah.
Like, unless that person maybe is a doctor, and
Yes.
and they can help you get there. But Joey, I just want to say that even by sharing that, you are so much stronger than you know.
Thank you so much.
For real. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you. I feel like, you know, it's important for me because a lot of people who are younger, who, you know, view me as a figure that they admire or something, like, you know,
Why did you stop yourself from saying role model?
Because I don't think I'm a role model.
You were about to say it and you were like,
well, I don't
maybe
know.
view me as someone.
Model.
Yeah.
You know. One person, and someone was like confused for a second because they just jumped on. They're like, "Is this woman working at Netflix?" No, this is Nancy. She's a mental health expert. We're talking about quarantine. You're all caught up.
I'm from crisistextline.org, and
yes.
I'm talking to Ramona.
Yeah. Yes, you are. Yes. Someone said, "What do you do if someone is just staying in bed most of the day, sleeping?" Please, you go ahead.
So this goes back to what you asked about before, like the line between self-care and kind of harmful behavior.
Mm-hmm.
Look, sleep is good. I'm just going to put it out there. And we've had a sleep deficit around the world, especially with young people. So, you know, one good thing out of these quarantines is that people are getting more sleep. So sleep is good. Sleep all the time, like constant sleep is not as good.
Yeah.
It's healthier to get up, to walk around, to get a little exercise. So
but I do also think that, like, not that staying in bed all day is good, because I think that a lot of people need to, you know, just to stimulate happiness, just kind of see something else besides their bedroom. But one thing, back to the topic that we were initially talking about, which is finding personal space, is, you know, escaping to your bedroom to just like either dream or like just sit in your bed and think about things. Like, that's a great way to find your personal space too, is just kind of like getting all cozy in your bed.
Definitely. I mean, that's another one of those, your own, you can have privacy.
Oh no, Nancy, you froze for a second. No.
To dream.
Yeah.
Oh, I did. Oh no.
You're back now.
What's beautiful about sleep and being in your own bed is the privacy to dream. I mean, dreams are like little movies that we also make for ourselves.
Mm-hmm. I've been having the weirdest dreams in quarantine, by the way. I've been having
a lot of people
weirdest dreams.
A lot of people are having some pretty weird dreams. My daughter had to write an essay for school on the pandemic and food, and so she wrote an essay about people losing their teeth. It was like a future dystopian nonfiction thing. Like, everybody was losing their teeth because they were eating too much sugar. And that night I dreamt that I was losing my teeth. And I woke up all night long, like, checking to make sure my teeth were there.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
They're there. They probably have lipstick on them, but they're there.
I wish I'd been writing down my dreams, because I can't even remember what some of them were. But I do know that I watched Jaws a couple of nights ago with my family. Had some shark dreams, for sure.
Nice.
But I had a dream. It was so weird. Because I also watched the show Shark Tank a lot with my family. I had a dream that there was like, I was in the Shark Tank on Shark Tank, but there were like sharks in the Shark Tank with like Mark Cuban and like all those people.
Wait, what else? So that's another good form of self-care, of course, is binging. What else are you binging?
Oh man. Okay, so I just finished Tiger King, obviously.
And we talked about this. Should you want to? We can discuss this. We can discuss Tiger King for a second.
For sure. I want to talk about Tiger King, but I also just finished watching season 3 of Ozark. I love that show so much. It was so
Everybody's
good.
talking about this. I haven't watched it yet. I'm going to need to do that.
Ozark is awesome. It was such a good season. But yes, Tiger King. I mean, who isn't talking about Tiger King? I honestly, I made everyone in my life watch it that wasn't watching.
So if you were, let's say, if you were quarantined with 2 people from Tiger King, and the quarantine is like, you don't know how long the quarantine is going to last, who are the 2 people from Tiger King that you would want to be quarantined with?
Oh my god, that's such an awful question.
I feel like this could go viral. Okay, so who are the two people you have
okay.
gone to team
I can't
with?
remember his
Or
name.
You had to.
Okay, I can't remember his name, but the guy who has the prosthetic legs with tattoos on them.
Totally. They're the coolest prosthetic legs ever.
He
I don't
seems
remember
like
his
a
name.
nice guy. He seems
Yeah,
like
he
a
seems like a good
genuinely
guy.
like nice dude.
Okay. And who
And
else?
then I can't remember his name as well. These are the two most normal people on Tiger King. I feel like the guy, well, you know, ish. The guy with the long blonde hair who was like sitting in that like really comfy chair in the middle of like the woods or something, who was talking about like he was the one that
who was
was
like a caretaker with the
he was a caretaker, and even after Joe Exotic was gone, he was like taking care of the animals.
Totally.
That guy for sure.
I might go with the same guy, the guy with the two prosthetic legs, but I think also Saf, who had one arm eaten off by a tiger.
For sure. She's